Welcome back to Adelante Chicago. Taxpayer beware. The IRS knows this is prime time for scammers trying to take advantage really of you during tax season. You need to guard yourself against things like ploys to steal your personal information. Rosa Escareño with the City of Chicago's Business Affairs and Consumer Protection Agency is joining us with some tips and what they're doing to ease some of the problems. Nice to have you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
This is an important topic because it happens every year and it seems like simple advice, but yet we forget it, right? So let's talk about this year, what you're seeing differently when it comes to these tax scams. I go to a place to get my taxes prepared, and what are they noticing?
Well, I can tell you that every year at about this time, we see a lot of dishonesty that is happening, specifically in vulnerable communities. And so it's so important for people to know what their rights are. Most importantly, you should never be agreeing to a service that you don't know what you're going to pay for. And then ask for proof of what that is, the service that you're going to get.
So they should list it on some sort of document.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. There is a Consumer Bill of Rights that is actually required at time of preparation that outlines everything that the tax preparer is required to provide you, such as how much is the service going to cost? What are the types of services that you're going to be getting as part of the tax preparation process, and things of that nature.
I know that in years past there have been scams where people, their check or the checks that they're supposed to be receiving from the IRS then go to another account and they never actually see the money. Is that kind of thing still happening, or is it more of an identity theft, right?
No, you know, I think all of the above is certainly a concern, but what we see a lot of is these tax preparers that want to then say, you're going to get a refund, we can give you cash advance while you wait for your tax refund to come to you. That is a scam that is used often because then the tax preparers are charging fees and interest rate, very high interest rates.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases, it's like 20% they're charging you on that.
Absolutely. So by the time you get your refund, you're getting half or a third. And so people need to be very, very cautious. No one should be providing you a service outside of the tax preparation unless you're requesting it.
Okay. I know that your agency does a lot to protect consumers, right? Not just in situations like this, but in others. So are there any steps that you're taking right now to address this issue of tax preparers and tax season? I guess, how do you work with consumers?
Sure. For us, it's really about, we are responsive to all the complaints, but every year around this time, because we know that these dishonest businesses are out there trying to scam vulnerable people, is that we actually conduct a 20% audit or investigation of a lot of our tax preparers that are out there. And we do that by taking complaints. We look at locations where we've received a complaint and we go to them. And so we're in the process of doing that. We do that every year. And I will tell you that depending on the year, we either have 90% non-compliance or 20% non-compliance. We're in the middle of doing that. And if these businesses are identified by our investigators as defrauding people, they will be cited and they are often taken through the court process.
How are we looking so far this year? Does it seem like these businesses are complying, or are we falling in line with some of the worst years?
You know, I think we're pretty high, and I'm not liking what we're seeing. And so there are years that we've had like as low as 20%. Today, I think we're closer to about 40% non-compliance of that 20% pool that we're investigating.
And we're still a month away.
And we're still a month away, absolutely. And so I think it's so important that people understand that under the Consumer Bill of Rights, the tax preparers are required to inform the individual of their rights in just preparing their taxes, being upfront about the fees, being upfront about the services they're going to get.
Okay. We focus a lot on this show on the Latino community and some of the issues that are facing them. Are you noticing anything different within neighborhoods that are a large percentage minority or Latino or African American that you wouldn't see in other neighborhoods?
Absolutely.
So let's say like Little Village, for example. What do you see there?
You know, it's absolutely the issue is that because this is a vulnerable population in the fact that they don't all speak English.
The language,
a lot of these services will provide the entire service in English when they know that the customer has no knowledge of what they are actually entering into.
But what can you really do for that, though?
You know, they are actually required under the Consumer Bill of Rights to provide the information in the language that that person is actually requesting the service. So they are required to provide information in Spanish. The Consumer Bill of Rights is very clear about if I am going to engage you in Spanish, then I have to provide you the information in that language so that the customer knows exactly what they're getting into. Okay. And so because this is a vulnerable population, once they're defrauded, they're very concerned and scared to report it. And so oftentimes these things go unreported and these individuals are victims. And our goal is to try to get ahead of that. And we're very proactive in getting out there, but it's very difficult to go after every business that's out there. So beware.
Yeah, and
beware.
especially when people are afraid to report it as
Absolutely.
well. Okay. Before we go, I think we should talk in general about just what your agency does, right?
Sure.
Because tax season is one of the things that you focus on, but there's a slew of other things. I know I've worked with you with the rideshare industry and different things like that.
Yes.
So give people sort of a brief overview of what your agency's meant to do.
Right. So we do the licensing regulation for all businesses across the city, but we're also the consumer protection arm for the city. And so we do address all types of consumer complaints, everything from bad contractors to rogue tow companies that are taking your money or keeping your car imprisoned, to tax preparers and immigration service providers. There's a lot of these businesses that are sham businesses that are really taking advantage specifically of non-English speakers and senior citizens, because these are the individuals that often don't come forward. And so look us up, call 311, report any scam, because then that is our way to actually go after those businesses and at least begin an inquiry, an investigation, and if we catch you, we're going to take you to court and try to get you out of business.
And your agency has investigators that will go out and do the digging and do the searching on some of these cases.
In many cases, we actually conduct covert investigations. We act as clients and we'll go in and see how the services or how they're positioning their services. And if they're defrauding us, we know they're defrauding the community, and that's a way for us to actually prosecute against them.
Okay, let's get the information up on the screen. If you are interested in finding a little bit more about the city's agency for you, for the consumer, the website is cityofchicago.org/BACP. That is Business Affairs Consumer Protection. You can reach out to them there, or as Rosa mentioned, you can call 311 with any complaints or to report any issues now during tax season and throughout the rest of the year. Thank you, Rosa, for coming in.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Nice.